Welcome guys to Learning Partner. So with this video, I'm starting a new series which will focus only on the JavaScript basic topic, along with so many exercises and the various scenarios, which will help you to strengthen your basic coding understanding, right? So first thing, like if you know the HTML and the CSS, so HTML and CSS are basically used to design the page, like layout of your page, adding some CSS to just make that page having some different UI. Like you can see, you can have some background color to the buttons or like that. So this is how you design your page using HTML and CSS. But why we need the JavaScript? So this is just a sample page. So I will just explain you why we need the JavaScript before starting. So let's say this is the simple HTML page. So you can see div1 is there, div2 is there, and div3 is there. So below the div1, you can see show and hide button is there. So if I click on hide, you can see that div1, that particular div is getting hidden. If I click on show, you can see that is getting displayed. So on click of hide, I'm hiding that. On click of show, I'm showing that, right? So this is to hide and show the div1. I have two buttons. Now same functionality I have done with single button. So we are talking about this div2. So if I click on this show or hide button, so you can see it is here hiding, and again if I'm clicking, it is so it's like a toggle. Third scenario is like if we enter 1 2 3 over here and 1 2 3 over here, so you can see if both the text box have the same value, then that div3 is getting hidden. See, now we have different values, so that is visible. This is kind of a scenario. So this is where we need the JavaScript, because these things like hide and show or on particular writing something on a specific event, we cannot do that with an HTML, right? So here comes the JavaScript. With the help of JavaScript, we can communicate with HTML elements, and we can allow them to uh, behave differently on the condition we pass. Like, so on click of this button, hide and show, we are just hiding and showing the particular div. Again, second example, you can see this is first name. Let's say JavaScript, I will write over here. Just pay attention to the full name, right? And now in session, see, as soon as I'm typing, it is creating a full name. So the example is, let's say Sachin Tendulkar. So you can see it has generated the full name. So we don't have to write the full name. It has automatically generated from first name and the last name and put it into the full name, right? Same like that, we have a drop down. So in drop down, you can see some of the states are mentioned here, right? But if I select other, you can see other text box is visible to enter the other text state. But if I again select the specific state, that other text box is getting hidden. Same with the city also. If I select Mumbai, you cannot see. But if I select other, you can see the other text box. Again, if I select Solapur, that is getting hidden, right? This is various scenarios I'm explaining, like what are the scenarios where you need the JavaScript, because on change of dropdown, we are hiding and showing that. On change of the text box value, we are creating a full name and assigning that into the text box. Just like that, you can see what are you. So we have teacher, sport person, musician. If we click on the teacher, so you can see some fields you can see, right? But if I click on the musician, two tasks is happening. First, teacher will get unselect and musician will get selected. See, and the remaining text box also getting changed. If I select sports person, again same thing. The previous selected getting unselected and the newly is selected. So these are the various ways by which we need to write a programming. Like based on the event, we need to hide and show something, create a generic name. We can add a style also, dynamic. We can add dynamic classes also. So there are number of various tasks which we can do using JavaScript. Okay, so just to start with, in this episode, we are mainly focusing like how we create the JavaScript and how we create the variables. Since JavaScript is nothing but a scripting language, but it's kind of a programming language also. So whenever we say a programming language, it starts with the variables. Like there is no programming language without the variables. So let's start with, let me just make it in a divide it in the half screen. Let's make it on a go live. Okay, so this page is running. I'm just opening a console over here. So to open the console, you just have to right click. Okay, let me open it inside. You just have to right click and click on the inspect. That will open your console. Now, this is the simple HTML page which I have created. What you have to do, you just have to open a Visual. I'm not going to cover the whole basic thing. You just have to download the VS Code, open any particular folder and click on here. It will create a new file. And inside that, let me just get rid of it. You can see suggestions are here. So you just have to select the HTML5. It will create the basic structure. Let's provide the title as variables. Okay, so now how do we write the JavaScript? So to write the JavaScript or the scripting, you need to open a script tag. So this will look like this. Let me just close it. Yeah. So this is how script tag will look like. Just me zoom a little bit. Okay, so this is how script tag look like. Now second question is like, where should we write it? You can write it in the head section also or in the body section also, anywhere, but in the head and in the body only. In the body, you can write it at the start or at the end, anywhere. Okay, now first I will start with head section. So today we are going to mainly focus on the variables, like what are the variables or what are the data types we have, or how to declare a variable or how to create a variable, right? So to create a variable in HTML, so we have in JavaScript, we have to write like this, var. Okay, this is the syntax to create a variable. First, you have to declare the variable with var, then your variable name. So now variable name, let's say first name equal to, then you have to assign some value. Let's say Sachin semicolon. So now this is a variable we have created, right? So var, this is just a syntax. This can change and this can change, but this will remain same. Always you have to start the variable with the var. Okay, so first name is your variable name. Now it can be anything, right? Because this is the name you are giving, so it can be anything. Let's create another variable, var hobby is equal to, let's say, playing cricket. Right? So this is second variable I have created. So this is how you create the variable. Now there are some rules, like while creating the variable, it should not start with number. Means if I say 1 over here, so you can see it is giving error because variable cannot start with the number. But we can have number in between variable, in between text or at the end also. But it should not start with the number. This is the first rule. Second rule, it should not have space in between variable name. Okay, so this is second rule, that it should not have space in between variable name. Let's say first name. So if I try to give the space over here, so it won't work. So you can see we have got the error. So only two mandatory rules you should remember. First, it should not start with the number, and it should not have a space in between the variable name. Okay, so these are the two rules which you should remember while creating or declaring the variable. Right? Now, this is the way how we create the variable. Right? So let's try to print this. So print this means we have console. Console means you can see in the browser, we have the console. So whatever we write here, like console.log, and inside console.log, I am providing the first name. That is my variable name. Let's check what it does. See, in the console, you get to see your variable value name, whatever the value we have in that particular variables. So in console.log, I have sent variable name. So here you can see Sachin is printed. After that, let's print another variable. console.log. Now the variable name we have is hobby, but here let's say I type something else, right? So now these hobbies, we don't have any variable with this name. Now if I save, so you can see we have got the error, like hobbies is not defined because we don't have any variable with this name. So to use the variable name, that variable name should be present. Just like we call someone, like if that person is there, then only he will respond. If person is not there, he is not going to respond, right? So just like that, if you have declared the variable, then only you can use it. If you have not declared, you cannot use it. So we have declared the variable name with hobby. Now if I say, see, you get the output. So this is how you declare the variables. Okay. Now we have declared the variable, and while declaration, we have initialized some value also. Let's say after this console, I have to change the name. Let's say I have to change the hobby to something else. So what I have to do, again, I don't have to use var again. When we are declaring for the first time, then only we have to use the var. If we have declared, then if you have to change the value, you just have to use the variable name and provide the equal to, that is assignment operator, and you can provide the new value. Playing chess. Let's save it. And after this line, okay, one more thing, JavaScript will execute line by line from top to bottom. Okay, JavaScript will execute line by line. So first this line will execute, then this, then this, then this, after this. Now after this, again I am going to print the updated value, that is console.log. Again hobby I will print. So let's see. See, in first console we have got first name, that is Sachin. Then second console, that is hobby. Currently hobby is playing cricket. So you can see playing cricket is there. But after that, I have updated the variable value hobby with playing chess. So after that, I have again tried to print the value of hobby. So you can see playing chess you have got. So this is variable and its declaration. This is, we have updated the value of declared variable. Okay. So hope you have got the basic understanding how we create the variable. Now, next thing, data types. Okay, I will again create one more script tag. Let me just minimize this space. Let's create one more script tag. Okay, now in this script tag, we are going to see various data types we have in JavaScript. So first, like primitive, or we can just in a normal word, we can say basic data type, just for your understanding. Okay, so we have string. Let's say string means whenever you have to store some characters, A, B, C, D, or anything. It can be a word, it can be a single word, or it can be a word. So everything will go into the string. Then number means integer value. It can be a float value, decimal value, or number, anything. It will go under data type number. Then we have Boolean. Boolean will have only two values, true and false. Only Boolean will have only two value, either true or it can be false. Just like the bit we have in microprocessors, so that is nothing but 0 and 1. In JavaScript, we call it as a true and false. Then we have date time. To store the date type of data, we have to go for the date time. Okay. Now let's try to declare all the data types of particular type. First, we will see the string. So string we have already seen. Let's see it again. Var middle name is equal to, let's say, Ram. Okay. So this is what we have declared a variable which is having data of type string. Whatever the value we provide in the double quotes or the single quote, that is nothing but the string value, right? Let's try to create another variable where last name is equal to, okay, in this I am just providing M. So this is also string value. Doesn't mean like if we have the some particular word or anything, whatever we provide into the string value, that will become a string. Okay. Now one more example where roll number is equal to 1, 2, 3. So by looking at it, it seems like it is a number. right? But it's a string because we have provided 1, 2, 3 into the double quotes. So whatever we provide into the double quote, that become string only. Doesn't matter what is the value. It can be date, it can be boolean, it can be number. So whatever the value we provide into the double quotes, that becomes the string. Okay, so this is also string. This is also string. This is also string. Let's check number now, where product price is equal to, let's say 23,450. So this is my second data type, that is number. Okay, now it can store product discount is equal to, let's say we have some discount in point. So 12.5 is the discount amount. So whenever you create the variable now, always make sure variable name should be descriptive. It should describe like what is the value it is going to hold, right? So always try to give the meaningful name to the variable. Like we have stored something number and you have given something else name. That doesn't make sense. It won't give you the error, but it doesn't make sense. Okay. This is regarding number. So either you can store the integer or the decimal point value also. Everything you can hold into the number. So this is number or integer. Anything you can say, because number looks familiar. Next thing is boolean. So where, let's say, is Indian. Is word is, let's say, it can have, is he present or is he absent, like that. Okay. So either we can say true, where is present. Second variable I'm creating, false. Okay. So when we talk about boolean, it can have only two values, either true or false. Just two values it can have. Right. So this is boolean. I'm just writing it down just to memorize you. Boolean. This is also Boolean. Next thing is date time. So let's say where today's variable name I'm creating, today's date is equal to. Now in this variable I want to store the current date. Okay, so we can get the current date using new date. This is the way by which this is already provided into the JavaScript. If you write this now, new and date, they should be capital and round bracket. So it will give you the current date along with time and time zone and everything. Okay, so these are the basic data type we have in JavaScript: string, number, boolean, and date time. Let's try to print the value of date now. Console.log, and it will be today date. Let's save and check. So you can see in the console we have got Tuesday, April 4, 2023, and the time also, time zone also, right? So when you write new date now, so you get this much of thing, date, then time, and the time zone also, like in which time zone you are. So this date you are getting from your system machine. So whatever the current date you have set in your current whatever the laptop or the desktop you are using, that is going to give you the date. So these are the basic data type you have. Okay, now these are some primitive data type. Now we have derived data type or advanced data type, just to generalize the term. Derived data types. So what do you mean by derived data types? So let's just close this script so that we can have some specific code in a specific scripts. So there is no limit, as many as scripts you can create. Okay, order of execution will be from top to bottom. First this will run, then this, and then this. Like in which order you have the script, like that it will run. Now, let's say we have where roll number 1 is equal to 1, 2, 3. Again, we have where roll number 2 is equal to 1 to 4. Again, we have one more where roll number 3 is equal to 1 to 5. Right? So what do we have here? We are having 3 roll numbers. So we have created 3 variables like roll number 1, roll number 2, roll number 3, as long as list can go on, right? But like we know, like roll number are going to be roll numbers are going to be of the same data type, right? Integer only. It is not going to contain any string in between or anything. It is always going to contain numbers data type only, right? So rather than creating whole like number of variables to store the roll numbers, what we can create, we can group them into a variable. So rather than creating 3 variable, what you can do is you just have to create one variable and store 3 variables, 3 roll numbers into it. So you don't have to create 3 variables. Like unnecessary, you are wasting the memory, because whenever you declare the memory, it is using some memory into the JavaScript, browser, right? So there is a term which is array. Okay, so where you can store similar type of data into a variable. That is just a normalized term, what we say for the array. Okay, so now how do we declare the array? Let's say where roll number list is equal to. Now direct normal variable, what we used to do, if it is string, we used to encode that in a single quote or double quote. If it is a number, we can directly provide. But array will start with square bracket. See, this is how. And inside that, you can pass many values by comma separated. Any number of value you can store in this. So this is array. So rather than creating that number of variable and storing the particular variable, you can create only one variable and store various types of roll numbers into one variable, right? So just to, this is very general definition. We are not going much into the technical term, but just to cover, like instead of creating so many variables, we can store same type of data into one variable. So that is the way we can do using array. Okay, so this is the array of integers. Let's see the same thing. If we have student names, stud1 is equal to, let's say, Ram, where student2 is equal to Sham, where student3 is equal to something, Ankit, where student4 is equal to Rajesh, right? So now we have a list of 4 students, student 1, student 2, student 3, and student 4. Now same thing, we have created 4 variables. Instead of that, what we should have done, where student list, or let's name it as array or collection, anything. It should be descriptive. By student collection, we can assume like it might have the collection of student, right? So this is variable normal declaration, after that square bracket, and then this was an integer value, that's why we have directly provided, but this is a string value, so we have to copy the particular value inside the double quotes, right? So let me just copy paste. This is first value. Now only comma separated value should be there, right? And the Rajesh is the last one. N number of elements you can push or you can store into the array. So now we don't need this variable, we don't need this variable also, right? So this is what array. Variable rules will be same, like no space, and it should not start with number. Same variable names will be there. Just the data we are storing is something else, right? So this is how we store the array type of data. Now let's try to print this data. Console. Let's see like how does it look. Log. First we will print roll number list. Save. So you can see in roll number list what number of elements we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see 5 over here, and it will look like this. So whenever we store the array type of data into a variable, it will store the data in the indexing format. So you can see it has started from 0. On the 0th index, it has stored 1, 2, 3, likewise 1, 1, 2, 4, second index, third index, fourth index. Now let's try to print second. Console.log student collection, semicolon. Let's just save it. So you can see in student collection, we just have 4 student names. So it has said 4. And you can see 0 to 3. Indexing will start from 0. So this is how array will look like, right? So this is array. Now I will again create one more script tag. Now last topic is remaining is like object. Okay. Now why and what is object and why do we need it? So let's say I'm creating variable to store a student information. So let's say where student name is equal to Sachin Tendulkar. Then its city, student city is equal to Mumbai. Then where student mobile number, let's store something. Then where student hobby, or let's say student state. Now short form of Maharashtra will be MH, right? So you can see what we have got is we have stored a student information into 4 different variables, right? Like name, city, mobile number, state. But this is all these 4 variable data is related to particular student, that is Sachin, right? So rather than creating, this is not a multiple information. Like if when we say array, this is a multiple information of same data type. Like when do we create the array? When we have to store the same type, multiple elements, like multiple values of the same data type. Like it can be integer or it can be string. But the total different scenario from the array, like this is a different type of data. Let's say, let's add one more, like where is or active is equal to true. Now you can see string values is also there and Boolean value is also there, right? So this is a data which is related to particular entity, means it is a data of particular student. So rather than creating 5 variable, we can store this 5 variable data into one variable. So that is where object comes. So we can create object like where student obj is equal to object, just a short form. Let's name it complete, equal to. Now array when we declare the array, it was starting with square bracket and ending with square bracket. Just like that, object will start with curly braces. So you can see curly braces. Now array is having the same type of data, right? Either it can be integer or either it can be string. But when we say the array, when we say the object, so object will have key value pair data. Either it can be key value, or you can say field or value, or you can say property or value. So we are trying to convert this number of properties, this number of variables into objects. So my properties name will be name, or either let's use student name only. Student name colon, then my value. So value will be this. Then comma. Now comma separated key value pair data. This is first key. This is key and its value. Now second key. Second key will be student city. Colon, then my value. Mumbai. Comma. Again next value. Student mobile. Colon, value. Again comma. Student state. Colon. Match. Again student is active. colon true. So now this is object and it will look like this. So you can see now we don't need this much of variables. Within single variable, we have stored all the data, but it is in the key value format data. So now this is how you create the data. This is key and this is value. This is key and this is value. This is key and this is value. Any type of data you can store. So you can see string value we have also stored, Boolean value also. Just like that, let's say total present days. Okay, 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2. So let's say 12 total days were present. So we have stored integer, Boolean and string value also in a particular object. So object is nothing but the collection of key and value pair data. So this is key and this is value. Someone will say it as a property and this is value. Someone can say it as a field and this is value, right? So let's try to print this console.log and student object. So see the last console, we get the object like this. Okay. Now out of this object, let's say I just need a student state. So what I will do, console.log student object. Now student state is inside the student object. So I have to access that using student object dot student state. I cannot access directly student state because it is inside the object. So first I have to select the object, then inner whatever the key. Now it will gives us the value, that is mah. So see, mah is printed over here. Let's try to print the mobile number. So student object dot. So with using dot property, we access the keys from any object. So let's save like that. So these are the different variables and data types we have in JavaScript. Again, in the next video, we are going to more focused on, in the coming videos, we will be focusing on object and the array. There is a lot more things in the array and object. Okay, same thing with all the variables, like whenever we say string data, number data, date time. So we have so many things we can do with this type of data, but this is just a basic. So how do we create the variable? Using var, then your variable name and the value. Only two rules. Let's say it should not start with the number and it should not have a space in between. There are different types of data type. So we have primitive or basic, that is string, number, Boolean, and date time. Then we have array, where we can store same type of data into a variable. Then object, we can store unrelated data type, related value of any particular entity into a one variable. So rather than creating all these variables, we have stored that into a single variable, and we can access that using dot, right? So hope you have got the basic idea in variables, like how do we create and why we need to create the variables in JavaScript. Okay, so in next video, we will see some extra topics in JavaScript, let's say functions or the events. Till then, please do subscribe and like my videos.